Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I hope you're having a good weekend. I've got some kind of cartoon mom hair going today because I was too lazy to wash it. And I'm just going to see if I can style this and buy myself another day or two before I have to wash it. Anyway, hey, welcome to Sat Chat. It's Sat Chat time. I hope you are doing well. It is let's see, what is today? The 16th of November. I'm actually recording this at noon on the 15th of November. I'm getting ready to do a Michael's class pretty soon. And if you're, obviously you're watching this on Saturday, there'll be a replay of this on the Michael's YouTube channel on Monday. So that's what we're going to be doing live today, but it will be available for everybody on Monday. Probably the biggest news for me professionally this week is that all of my Sketchbook Floozy stencils have been relaunched. So these are templates so that you can divide up your sketchbook pages to make, or even to do like comic book layouts, or you could even use it for scrapbooking or card making. These different sizes. They have all been restocked at Craft Stash and relaunched. So if you were wanting to get that, or maybe one of the universal templates, just to kind of show you, they are repackaging the universal templates differently. So now they come in a really nice box, but this allows you to make any type of grid that you want. And you've got different rounded corners that you can, you can make your cells rounded or squared off or whatever. I was watching this video about graphic design today, and they were talking about graphic design trends, and one of the graphic design trends was bento box style, which is basically like using one of my Sketchbook Floozy templates and dividing up a page like that. So I'm like, I am a trendsetter, or at least I'm on trend. I don't know. But I wanted to show you how I'm storing the one of the versions. So there are a couple of stencils in every pack of Sketchbook Floozy stencils, except for the universal template. And then I had them keep the inner parts of the stencils too, so that you could trace around them, or you could move them around in different elements. What I do is I have like a bag here where I put all my inside parts from the Sketchbook Floozy templates in there. And then I can just kind of grab them. I can make a different way to make different cells, especially the non-square ones, if I want to combine them with my universal template to make some really cool layouts. But then the ones that are kind of like nested shapes, what I did was I got some binder rings at the Dollar Tree and I put them on there. I got the 1-inch ones, and I think the larger ones, like 1.5 or 2-inch ones, would be a little bit better, but the 1-inch ones will fit. But I put them on there so I wouldn't lose them and they wouldn't get all tangled up. And then I slid them back in. I cut down the boxes that they come in and I slid them in there so I can just pull them out by the binder ring and take out what I want. And that way I don't lose any either. So I just wanted to give you that idea if you were trying to figure out how to store them, because I think with a lot of tools, it's how you store them which determines whether you're going to use them or not. And at least that's what I find. And then if it's something like a grid, like say like this grid background, which is pink on, it's like pastel pink on white, so it's hard to see on camera, that I would put behind me. If you look back there on the wall, I've got all my like bigger Sketchbook Floozy stencils, and then like I've got, when I'm working on a prototype, I'll cut it out of cardstock and stick it back there and play with it a bit. But I have those all hanging on a hook, just a command hook, so you could do that without damaging your walls in whatever room you like to create in. And then they're right there, and I could just grab them right off the wall whenever I want them. So just a couple different ideas for storing your stencils. Of course, that could go for whatever type of layout stencils you might use. Maybe you use the old architectural ones, or you just have stencils and you want to keep them handy. It's a neat idea. The downside is so my stencils that are like backgrounds that I use for jelly printing and stuff, those I keep in, I have a big bin, and if it's under, I would say if it's under 8 by 10, I have them in this big bin that I can just flip through. If it's a 12 by 12 or an 8.5 by 11, a bigger stencil, then I have this big accordion file. It's by Doris. I'm not sure if Doris is still in business anymore, but it's this big, I think it's probably like 14 by 14 inch accordion file, and that works really good. I think it was probably meant for like scrapbooking storage, but then I can just flip through there and get the stencils that I want. It's very kind of jumbled because I want to have very quick, that's the other thing. For my tools, I want to have things that I can put away quickly and I can retrieve quickly. The only thing I'm really picky about sorting by like theme, or by and not even my manufacturers, just by theme, are my rubber stamps, because I have so many of them. Whereas backgrounds, like stencils, are all backgrounds, or I can just all throw them together unless they have a specific purpose. Say like the sketchbook ones, they are in here, they're not with my background stencils. Or if they were journaling stencils, I wouldn't put them with my like messy painty stencils, but all the messy backgrounds are all together because it's just, it's how I would use them. I'd layer them up and stuff like that. And like my background stamps are all in a big bin, a big like wine crate basically, and I can flip through them because they're big. I'll flip through them and figure out what patterns I want to use together, but any sort of like, say it's like a cupcake stamp or a beverage stamp or a birthday, you know, I'll have things by theme or by the type of stamp they are, like vintage clothing or vintage sewing or art supplies or landscape stamps or Christmas stamps or whatever other holiday stamps. I have them all in binders by theme so I can get what I want quickly because I have a 30-second rule. If I can't put my hands on a supply in 30 seconds, then the storage is not right. I do have some things that are a little harder to get to because I only need them once a year or something. That would be like full sheets of mat board. I'll need to get to those like once a year when I'm cutting down like covers for like a sketchbook class, or I'm going to be doing a bunch of framing. They're not things I need to get to on a daily or weekly basis. But if it's a daily or weekly item, I want to be able to get to it within 30 seconds and have it in my hands. Otherwise, I'm not going to use it. And I don't like to have stuff like behind other stuff. I don't like to have to move a bunch of things to get to things. You know, I like to have stuff like either one layer deep and that's pretty much it. Either right there or one layer deep. But you know, we all just have to make our storage work for us. Like, it's not aesthetic. If you go into the room of hoard, it's not aesthetic. I've got like this rolly cart that's just piled with stuff I've been using to make oil paint sticks. I've got stuff out that I'm currently working on, and I mean, it probably looks like, I don't know. It looks like a messy workshop is what it looks like, but it's very organized. It's actually not that messy, and I can have it cleaned up in like 10 minutes. When it, even at its worst point, it can be cleaned up, everything can be put away in like 10 minutes. So that's what I try to aim for when I'm in my work area, because nobody else comes down here except for me. Maybe I'll have a friend come over that wants to get crafty or whatever, but it's not like visible to the rest of the house or not like the rest of my house is neat as a pin. I was making my mung bean eggs the other day. So you take mung beans, you soak them overnight, and then you rinse them and then add water and a little bit of like juice from like chickpeas, and you puree it and add some spices and tapioca flour and stuff, and it makes this concoction that's high protein, high fiber, and you can do like scrambled eggs with it, you could do crepes with it, you could do French toast with it. I'll put different seasonings depending on what I'm going to do with it, but I had gotten the tapioca flour out to add some in there because it's been a while since I made it and I was trying to remember how to do it. And so I was putting stuff away and I went to zip the tapioca flour closed and it wouldn't go. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I opened it back up really quick and a bunch of it flew out. And then, so I'm like tapping the bag because it was like tapioca flour in the little zippy thing. And then I zipped it shut and I put it away, and some was on the floor. I'm like, I'm not going to sweep it because it's just going to spread it around. I'm not going to be able to sweep it up because we have like a textured floor. I'm like, I'll just vacuum it. I'll vacuum. And then I completely forgot that I did that. So my husband comes over to work and he's like, what's going on in here? And I said, I was making mung bean eggs. So I have some tapioca flour on the floor. He's like, were you making them on the floor? I'm like, I'm going to vacuum that. Don't worry. Yeah, I still haven't. Hoping this afternoon, maybe. I don't mind vacuuming, but time got away from me, and I got busy, and I forgot. And then I became mess blind, clutter blind to the tapioca flour on the floor. It wasn't a lot, but it showed up. Oh, I have a list. Let's see. What did I intend on talking about today? It wasn't my poor housekeeping skills, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, so those stencils have been relaunched. They make really great Christmas gifts, I think, for any artist, anybody that likes to work in a sketchbook, anybody that likes to do comic book illustrations. It'd be great for scrapbookers too, because what inspired me to do these stencils were the old color blocking templates that used to be available for scrapbookers back in the day that are no longer being sold anywhere, that are all discontinued or the companies have gone out of business. So that's kind of what sparked the idea, but I just made it a little bit more useful for sketchbook artists, but definitely you could use that for scrapbooking as well. But anyways, they're at Craft Stash. I'll put a link in the video description so that you can check them out if you want to. I know they have, if you're ordering from the USA, you'll want to go to the link in the description. If you're ordering from anywhere else in the world, you want to go to the UK site. I'll probably put both of those links down, actually. I'll just put them both in there so you can go to them, and I'll notate where to go. And I know for USA shipping, they have a free shipping over a certain amount. It used to be $40. I'm not sure if it still is or not, so don't hold me to that. But when I asked them to relaunch my stencils was because a lot of people asked me about them, and I know when they first came out, they had knew I was going to be coming out with some other stuff in the future, and I know people like to wait and get to that free shipping amount, so I begged them. I'm like, can we please relaunch the first batch of Sketchbook Floozy stencils, because so many people have been asking, and that way there's people that I'm sure waited for the second batch to come out so they could order it all at once and save on shipping. And so they did. They agreed to let me relaunch. So I was really happy about that because they sold out so quickly the first run. And yeah, so they're all available again, even the universal template, which honestly, if you don't need the ideas of the other layouts, you can lay out anything on the universal template that's rectangular or square. So it's I was so happy with the way that came out. I was unhappy with how they were breaking and shipping, but that was more of a packaging issue than a quality of the template issue, and they've remedied that and sent out replacements to everybody that was affected from that. So that was good. Craft Stash had really good customer service with that, and I was very grateful for that because that was kind of stressful. So let's see. Oh, last weekend I was mentioning that I was going to a I was going to a class on Sunday, and my mom got to go, which was really good. Dad went down to the store for the entire day. That's the longest he's been at the store in his chair since he's come home from the hospital. And so it was nice. It was really good for Mom to get away. And we went down there. Shanna Rowe Jackson from Caution Artists at Play was doing this Holbein class, Holbein demonstration. So we got to try out the acrylic gouache, the regular gouache, the watercolor, and some General Pencils products, and some Legion watercolor paper. It was a lot of fun. It was good just to get out, and I did a little bit of shopping. I'll show you. I can show you what I got actually. I'll just pull that whole stack of stuff over here. Oh, and she had samples, which is really fun. It's all gonna fall. It's all gonna fall. I should have brought that closer to me before I started. So, well, I'll show you what I bought first at Artisan Craftsman Supply. They had Gamblin Yellow Ochre and Burnt Sienna pigments. These are 4 ounces. It says FL. Isn't FL mean like fluid ounces? But this is powder. 48 grams. Anyway, Yellow Ochre, PY43, and PBR7 Burnt Sienna. And there was a article on the golden, and see, I am just so gun shy about giving any pigment information anymore, about giving any pigment discontinued information anymore, because I passed along bad info a couple weeks ago because I saw on Cheap Joe's Facebook page, they said that PV19 was getting discontinued, and I was like, what? They meant PV14, they had a typo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. So I don't know, I'm very hesitant to mention any other pigments that are going bye-bye. But anyway, on the Golden website, they had a story about the automotive and industrial coating industry not wanting natural iron oxides anymore. I guess they haven't been mining them for a while, and they wanted to go with synthetics because they're more consistent. And so, but what I didn't realize was that many paint manufacturers have been combining the synthetic and the natural iron oxide. So like PY42 is a synthetic yellow ochre, PY43 is a natural yellow ochre. And so now they're just going to phase out the natural ones, and I guess they haven't been mined in a while anyway, and just go to the synthetics, which I like the synthetics, it doesn't bother me. But anyway, I thought, what the heck, these are 50% off. They were regularly $11.49, so I got them for half of that, and I thought it'd be fun to make some more granulating watercolor, because I'm just going to mix them with a palette knife with the watercolor medium, which is gum arabic and oxgall, or synthetic oxgall, and water basically, and add some glycerin to it and just make some more super granulating colors. But I can also use it in other paints that I want to make. So I figured, yay. Especially if they're discontinuing then these colors, then it's like, well, I have some of the pigment. That's kind of cool, I think. Anyway. And then I picked up some Damar resin crystals here because, oops, oh no. I picked up some of these because I want to make my own encaustic medium, because, well, I was going to buy some encaustic medium, but that's pricey. And then I also kind of want to make some cold wax medium. And to make encaustic medium, you melt down white beeswax, and then you dissolve Damar resin crystals in there, and you can alter the recipe depending on what you like best. I don't know what I like best yet, but so I got the resin for that. But if I want to make cold wax, which is like Dorland's wax, you would take the wax the resin, and you would add a solvent to it, like turpentine or Gamsol or whatever you want, and then that would keep it from like hardening up, and then you'd have the cold wax. It hardens up once it's exposed to the air, but it won't harden up in the jar. It'll be almost like a shortening type consistency. So I got the Damar resin for that. I also bought a small cake of the Hot Cakes Encaustic Medium because it's in a tin, and it doesn't really have much of a smell. It's in a tin, so I can set it right on my art dedicated pancake griddle, and I can add that with oil paint or encaustic paint. But I have a lot of oil paint, and basically what I'm doing is just devising ways that I can use up some of my old stock of oil paint. And I like oil painting, and I like encaustics. I haven't done them in a long, long time, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to get into. I think they're kind of having a moment as well, so I think other people are interested in it, and I just like to melt things. I like to melt flammable materials. My name is Lindsay, and I like to melt flammable materials in my studio, but that might have to wait until it's warm enough to open things up again. For it to do anything serious like that, I think. But anyway, I grabbed those because, you know, when in Rome. And I got a bunch of different brochures from Holbein, which I'm excited to check out. I got the acrylic gouache, and I got the acrylic gouache, the colored pencils, the artist watercolor, and I think there might be the traditional gouache brochure, maybe not. I might not have gotten one of those. I guess I didn't. Unless they have the regular gouache in with one of the other. Oh, you know what? The acrylic gouache also has the artist gouache information in there. So, I don't know, this may be silly, but I love to like make a cup of tea, get cozy on the couch, get some nice art materials brochures, and just like, it's like reading a magazine. I love it. Digging in and reading all about the properties of the art materials that I love so much. And so then, when I was at Artists and Craftsman Supply, I actually grabbed the brochure for the R&F pigments, because when I was first making my own pigment sticks, I was kind of worried because it was like going a couple days, and some of the sticks after I swatched them out hadn't dried, and some of them hadn't like developed a skin over them yet, and I was like, oh man, did I mess it up? But then eventually they all dried, and when I was looking online at the R&F pigment stick brochure, I noticed that they had drying rates on there, and some of their sticks would dry overnight and some would take up to 30 days. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't do something wrong. That apparently they can have different drying times, just like oil paints do. And I think the overnight oil stick drying rate might have just been a different brand or something like that. So I grabbed that just to kind of get an idea and see what they had to offer, because it's free literature. I enjoy learning. So I grabbed that. And then Shauna had some really nice samples for us, different like packs of the Stonehenge Aqua and the Stonehenge Aqua Black and the Yupo paper. And I like these little sizes. They're really handy to have. And then we had a sample of, oh my gosh, beautiful hot press paper. I've never used Stonehenge's. I've used the Stonehenge Aqua and the Stonehenge Aqua Black, but I had not used their hot press. Like I'd used their cold press. This hot press is so nice, and this is super thick. I kind of wish I didn't like mess around on that. I wish I saved that one and messed around on the other paper, but it's so nice, such a nice paper. So I'm saving this scrap. This is what I have left. I'm gonna save that to work on. And we're playing around with the gouache on the Stonehenge Aqua Black, and there wasn't like really like a instruction or anything, just play with it. And so I just made a little gnome mushroom and made some some just little brushstroke leaves, but played around with that, and that was kind of fun because, I mean, it was just relaxing. It was just nice to get out with nice, like-minded people and have a good time. And then she also gave us a couple sheets of the Stonehenge Aqua and a couple big sheets of Yupo, so lots of things to play with there. And I had a really good time. It was really fun. And speaking of supplies, I got a question for you. So I got out a little over my skis as far as reviews this fall, and I am quite behind. And I have got one more review in the can, and that's a wooden easel that's going up on Monday. The Famui wooden easel, the little tiny one. It's smaller than the Lightwish one, and yeah, I've talked about it here on Sat Chat, but the review's actually going up on Monday. So after that, I don't have any reviews in the can, and I'm usually quite a ways ahead, but with Dad being sick this fall and all the trips down to visit him, I've just I've fallen behind, and I've got quite a stack. Oh my gosh, I should spin my camera around and show you. I've got quite a stack of, can you see over in my, that table, and also on my desk, I've got a stack of things to review. And so what I'm thinking of is doing a video where I just kind of go through it, kind of like the review preview I did. It was probably about a year ago. Maybe it was the spring. It was after I did some Black Friday art supply shopping last year, because I had kind of my list of things people had asked me to review. And with the sales, I just picked up a bunch of stuff that people asked me to review. So what I was thinking about doing is doing a video, because this stuff has been rolling in since the summer, and doing a video and kind of going through the different things and seeing what people want to see first, and then I can kind of prioritize my filming of the reviews and my using of the supplies, because some of those haven't even been cracked. Some things I've worked on already. Like I just posted a video on the new paper-friendly markers from Ohuhu. They are, they're a water-based marker, kind of like a Tombow or a Memento, and they're designed so that you can keep layering them up on water-based, on paper without it like chewing up the paper. So actually I did this little card with them. Look at this little, I've had these stamps for so long, and this toadstool, and then that's a rubber stamp, and then there's a set of stamps that are all doors. You could put whatever door you want on it. Then there's a set of stamps with all these little things that are that could be inside. Like there's little raccoons and little critters, and they're all doing different things. And I did a little bunny in a rocking, not a rocking chair, a cradle. Just little ladybugs. So many cute little things, and it's like I've been meaning to use them for a couple of years, and fine, like today's the day, baby. We're using them today. So I did that on the video. But then I was thinking, every time I went to go edit the video, I was like, wonder if this would work. And so I went back down to my studio and tried this thing. So this video took like so much longer, like 2 to 3 times longer than I thought I was going to. But then I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can do the rubber stamp coloring technique on it. And I was even able to heat emboss, like the ink stayed long enough to heat emboss. That's at the end of the video. That was another one. I'm like, I wonder if that would work. Back down to the studio, gotta try it. So I had way too much footage, and I had made this like 15 cards here. I had made a bunch of cards with the brush marker technique, and then I was like, oh, it seemed kind of a bummer not to use it, but it's such an easy idea. It's not like it's reinventing the wheel or anything exciting, but I can edit that into a video because I have so much footage. I only use the how to do the technique on the markers in that Ohuhu marker video. So let me know if you want a card making tutorial for these very simple cards, but I think that'd be really great for just if you like to make handmade stationery, or you want to make a set of cards as a gift, or you just, you know, you just want to make a bunch of thank you cards, like after the holidays, you want to get a bunch of those made and ready to go, or, oh my gosh, you know, it'd even be sweet for like a baby announcement if you did like, maybe like little sweet pea flowers. Oh my gosh, that would be so cute for a baby announcement. Or even thank you cards after a baby, or you could make a batch like that to give to a new mother. But then again, you're kind of giving them an expectation and a chore, so I don't know. I'm divided. I'm divided on that. But I thought they were really sweet, and I was kind of bummed that I couldn't put everything in that video because it was just going to be way too long. So where was I? So yeah, so I did get those, I got those done. That's still sitting in the stack because I was thinking about that video, that it might be kind of fun to go through these new products and ask people what they want to see first. So let me know if you think that would be a good idea. I think it would help me organize my brain a little bit, because I kind of come down here sometimes. It's like, okay, you need to get some work done, and then I get overwhelmed. Yesterday, so after doing that going to that Holbein class, she said, okay, divvy up the paints that we have on the table, and everybody can take some different stuff home. And so there was some of the gouache, but I already had the gouache. There was some of the acrylic gouache. I don't use acrylics all that much, so I didn't take that. But I'm like, yo, there's that Quinn Gold watercolor. I'd love to have that. And so my mom and my sister and Karen were all at the table. They're like, why don't you take the watercolors home, and then you can make palettes up for us. I'm like, that works, because I have all kinds of empty half pans and stuff. So I filled some half pans for them with the paints that I took, but I wanted to let them dry down and then top them back off again, because you know how much, when you're filling a pan from a tube, how much it will shrink, and then you have all that extra space. So and they were big tubes, they were 15 ml tubes, so I wanted to, top them off. And so I had those sitting out, and I was like, well, while I'm at it, I should get my like tiny, because I have tiny tubes of Holbein paint that I put into a palette years ago. I'm like, I should top mine off, finish filling up my Holbein palette again, and see if I can empty those tubes, empty the rest of those tubes in there of my old stuff, because I wanted to put make pans for my palette too, and put it all together. So I had everything out, and so I topped off my palette, and it couldn't quite fit all the paint that I had in those tubes, but I knew once it shrunk down, it would be able to. But then I was like, what I should have done was just have like not totally filled up my palette and just saw if anybody wanted my old tubes of Holbein to test out. But anyway, I came up to that realization much too late, as most of my great ideas come way too late after I can't do anything about them anymore. So I was like, well, now there's not enough extra paint. This is such a measly amount of paint. I'm just going to top off my palette and then be done with the tubes. I can throw away the tubes. My old little ones that I bought a few years ago, many years ago actually. And so then I'm in this kind of like puttery mood, and I was like, I wonder how much paint is actually in an empty tube. And I use the tube burner and I squeeze those puppies out. I'm like, there can't be much in there. But I'm like, but still I'm curious. So, and this was me procrastinating. I should have been doing something else, but I was in this vein. I'm like, well, why don't I see? And I'm like, I can do a video about this. So then it's justified, right? I'll do a video about it. So then like all this time I've spent is now justified. All this time I've spent puttering. Sometimes I get stressed out. I don't know if it's stress or just overwhelm or what. And it's just, I'm going to do this completely unimportant task for all day. Even though I should be vacuuming the tapioca starch off of my floor. But no, I'm going to work on this very silly little project. And so I took I had 115 ml tube that was empty. And so I'm like, oh, I wonder about this. So I took a brush, kind of one that was about ready to be retired anyways, and I dug around in there. I had so much paint. I'm like, oh my word, I should be doing this on a palette. So I went and I got a big ceramic palette, like platter type plate, and one that I use for art. And so I started digging out in these tubes, and there was so much paint. There was definitely enough for a full painting of each of the colors in each of the empty tubes. I couldn't believe it. But because like I squeezed it out with a tube burner, I took a toothpick, I reached in there with a toothpick and pulled out everything I could. I even because I filled up one of these tiny little guys, one of my little project TBD, because yeah, I need to make a bunch of tiny little locket palettes. I get too distracted. It's just too many fun things I want to try. I get too distracted. So anyway, so that video is coming up, I think, next Friday, where we'll see how much paint is actually in an empty tube. And now I'm thinking, I've thrown away so many tubes that had like paint in the neck that would have been enough to do another paint. But then I have acquired Sable in my craft room, which is stash acquisition beyond life expectancy. And I'm still digging paint out of it. This is like the definition of penny wise, pound foolish. But it's so satisfying to get every little last drop out. And you know what? Watercolor's expensive and it goes a long way. And I feel like people want to know how they can get the most out of what they buy. So no regrets, no regrets. And then after I finished that, I'm like, I was feeling guilty for spending all this time doing this when my poor father is, you know, recovering at home. So I took a drive down and visited him and saw so many deers on the way home. Almost hit a couple, luckily did not, but that's my week in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!